I never thought a text message could ruin my life. It was a Tuesday. Nothing remarkable about it, except that I came home a little earlier than usual. The house was quiet. You know, that kind of quiet that feels off. Like a silence that's hiding something. I stepped inside, dropped my keys on the counter, and saw my wife's phone buzzing next to her coffee mug. She was upstairs, I figured. I called out her name, Lisa. But no answer. I don't normally check her phone. I swear, I've never been that guy. But something about the way it kept lighting up, over and over, with the same name, I swear it felt like the universe was poking me in the chest. Jason. Over. And over. And over again. Jason. My hands were shaking before I even picked it up. And when I finally did, I wish I could tell you I had the strength to just set it down. I didn't. I opened it. Last night was incredible. I can't stop thinking about you. When can I see you again? I miss you already. I stood there, staring, my mouth dry. My ears were ringing. Like my body was trying to drown out what I was reading. Lisa. My wife. My partner of 20 years. Cheating. I don't know how long I stood there. It could have been seconds, could have been an hour. But I heard footsteps on the stairs, and suddenly she was there in the doorway, drying her hair with a towel, smiling. God, she was smiling, until she saw the phone in my hand. Her face went pale. Tom, she said slowly, lowering the towel. What are you? Who's Jason? I asked. She froze. The towel dropped to the floor. I'll never forget the look in her eyes. It wasn't guilt. It wasn't fear. It was resignation. Like she already knew this moment was coming, and she'd made peace with it. I was gonna tell you, she whispered. You were gonna tell me. I laughed. It wasn't a real laugh. It was one of those bitter, hollow ones. When? Before or after the next incredible night? Tom. Don't. I held up my hand. Don't. I walked past her, straight to our bedroom, grabbed a suitcase, and started packing. She didn't try to stop me. Didn't beg. Didn't cry. She just stood there, arms crossed, lips pressed tight. When I was halfway out the door, she said quietly, it wasn't just about him. It's about us. I stopped in the doorway. My back to her. Funny, I said. Because us didn't text you last night. I walked out. I spent the night in a cheap motel. Couldn't sleep. Just stared at the ceiling, playing it all back in my head, over and over. 20 years. A house. A family. I kept asking myself, how long? How long had she been lying to me? Did she ever love me at all? But the worst part wasn't Lisa. It was knowing I'd have to tell Josh. Our son. He was 19. Sophomore in college. He worshipped his mom. Thought she hung the moon. They had this bond one could never quite match. And now I was about to shatter that image. I texted him the next morning. We need to talk. He replied instantly. Everything okay? No. Nothing was okay. We met at the diner near campus. He walked in wearing his hoodie, earbuds dangling around his neck, still looking like the kid I used to tuck in at night. He slid into the booth across from me, a grin on his face. Hey, Dad. What's up? God, how do you start a conversation like this? I stared at him for a moment, trying to find the words. Your mom and I, we're splitting up. His smile faded. What? Why? I took a deep breath. She cheated on me. There it was. Out in the open. The words tasted like acid. Josh's face twisted. What? With someone named Jason, I added. I found the messages last night. He leaned back, shaking his head. No. No way. Mom wouldn't. She did. He blinked rapidly, like he was trying to process it, like maybe if he denied it hard enough, it wouldn't be real. Dad, come on. Maybe you misunderstood. Maybe it's not what it looks like. I swallowed hard. I wish that were true, son. He sat there, staring at the table. Then he looked up, his jaw tightening. So what, are you just gonna leave? I frowned. Josh, she's the one who. Yeah, but you're always gone, he snapped. You're always working late, traveling, coming home tired. You think maybe that's why she. I froze. That's why she. He stopped himself, but it was too late. The words hung there between us, heavy and ugly. Josh, I said slowly, are you saying this is my fault? I'm saying, he looked away. Maybe you weren't there. Maybe she got lonely. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Josh, I worked those hours to give you everything you have. The house. The car. Your tuition. You think that just happens? He shrugged, sullen. Yeah, well, maybe money isn't everything. I felt something snap inside me. A thread that had been stretched too thin for too long. You're right, I said coldly. Money isn't everything. I pulled out my wallet, laid a credit card on the table. Effective immediately. This doesn't work anymore. Neither do the others. He frowned. What do you mean? I mean, I said, standing up, if you think I've been nothing but a paycheck, you won't miss it. You're an adult now. Figure it out. Dad, his voice cracked. I tossed the keys to his car on the table. And I'll be needing those back. He stared at the keys, then back at me, disbelief in his eyes. You're serious? Dead serious. I turned and walked out. Behind me, I heard him shout, you're unbelievable. Maybe I was. Maybe I wasn't. But in that moment, as I stepped into the cold morning air, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Free. And also. Completely, utterly alone. I thought cutting Josh off would feel satisfying. It didn't. I sat in my car outside the diner for a long time after I walked out. Hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles went white. I watched him through the window, still sitting there, staring down at the keys I'd taken back, at the credit card lying useless in front of him. He looked small. And for a second, I wanted to go back inside. Take it all back. Hug him. Tell him I didn't mean it. But I didn't. Because deep down, I knew this wasn't just about Lisa. Or even about Josh blaming me. This was about 20 years of being the guy who kept everything together, who paid the bills, fixed the leaks, mowed the lawn, stayed up late balancing checkbooks, waking up early for work trips, while everyone else got to be the fun one. The loved one. The wanted one. And the second something went wrong, I was the bad guy. I turned the key in the ignition and drove. I didn't know where I was going. Home didn't feel like home anymore. The motel smelled like stale cigarettes and broken dreams. I ended up at the park near our old house, the first one Lisa and I bought after Josh was born. I sat on a bench and watched the sun rise behind the empty swing set, the ghost of my kid laughing as he swung higher and higher flashing across my mind. How did we get here? How does a family fall apart so quietly, so slowly, that you don't even notice until the walls cave in? My phone buzzed. A text from Lisa. We need to talk. I stared at it for a long time before typing back. About what? The reply came instantly. About Josh. About the house. About everything. I sighed. Come by the motel at noon. I almost regretted it the second I hit send. But I had to face her. We couldn't just ignore this. There were things that needed to be said. And I wasn't done being angry. When she arrived, she looked tired. Not guilty. Not ashamed. Just tired. She sat down across from me at the little motel table, folded her hands. Tom, she started, before you say anything. Why him? I cut in. She blinked. What? Why Jason? Of all people. Why him? She hesitated. It wasn't planned. Wasn't planned. I scoffed. Lisa, he's half your age. Her lips tightened. He made me feel seen. Seen. I repeated, incredulous. Yes, she snapped. Do you have any idea what it's like to disappear in your own marriage? To feel invisible? I leaned forward. Lisa, I wasn't invisible. I was working. For us. For Josh. I didn't want a provider, Tom. I wanted a partner. Her voice cracked. I stared at her. So your solution was to sleep with your coworker? I wasn't looking for him, she shouted suddenly. But he noticed me. He listened. He asked how I was doing when you stopped caring. I sat back, stunned. I didn't stop caring, I said quietly. I just didn't know you needed whatever he gave you. She wiped at her eyes. We sat in silence for a long moment. Then she said, softer, I told Josh last night. About us. About Jason. My stomach turned. How'd he take it? She sighed. He's angry. But not at me. I closed my eyes. Of course he's not, I muttered. She looked at me sadly. He thinks you gave up. I didn't give up. My voice hardened. You did. She didn't argue. Instead, she pulled a stack of papers from her bag and slid them across the table. What's this? I asked. Separation agreement. I stared at them. You already had this drawn up. I didn't know how else to do it, she admitted. I didn't want to fight. I let out a bitter laugh. Too late for that. Tom, she said, her voice pleading now, I don't want to hurt you more than I already have. I'm not asking for alimony. I'm not taking the house. I just want to be done. Done. Just like that. 20 years boiled down to a few sheets of paper and a signature. You're not even gonna fight for us? I asked. Her eyes filled with tears. I fought. 4 years. You didn't notice. I didn't have an answer for that. After she left, I stared at those papers for a long time. I could fight it. I could drag this through court. Make her life miserable. But for what? Pride. No. I was too tired. I called my lawyer. Draft the response, I told him. I'll sign. He paused on the other end. You sure, Tom? I closed my eyes. Yeah, I whispered. I'm sure. That night, Josh called. I didn't pick up. I couldn't. He left a voicemail. Dad, listen. I'm sorry. I didn't mean what I said at the diner. I was just mad. I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to think Mom could. He paused. I'm coming by the motel tomorrow. We need to talk. I deleted the message. I didn't want to see him. Not yet. I spent the next day cleaning out my desk at the office. I'd taken personal leave, needed time to sort things out, as my boss politely put it. Truth was, I wasn't sure if I was coming back. I sat at my desk, looking at the family photos I'd pinned up. Josh's little league team. Lisa and I at our anniversary dinner 3 years ago. The 3 of us at the Grand Canyon. I pulled them down, one by one. When I got to the last photo, Josh, 6 years old, sitting on my shoulders at Disney World, I couldn't do it. I left that one up. Maybe because that was the last time I remembered us being happy. Purely, stupidly happy. When I got back to the motel, Josh was waiting outside. Dad, he said. I sighed. Josh, I'm not. Please. I unlocked the door. We sat inside, both silent for a while. Then he spoke. I shouldn't have blamed you. I looked at him. He looked older than he had the last time I'd really seen him. Not the kid in the pictures anymore. I didn't want to believe she'd cheat, he said softly. I guess. I figured you had to have done something. Because Mom's always been, like, perfect, you know. I nodded. I know. He swallowed hard. But she's not, he whispered. No one is, I said. We sat there. Then he asked, do you hate her? I thought about it. I don't know if I hate her, I admitted. But I'm disappointed. And that's worse. He nodded slowly. I just don't want to lose both of you, he said. My chest tightened. You won't, I promised quietly. But things are gonna be different. I know. We sat in silence again. Then he looked at me. Dad, can I still use the car? I stared at him. He gave me a sheepish smile. Not yet, I said. You've got some earning to do. He laughed softly. Fair. And in that moment, something shifted between us. Not fixed. Not healed. But maybe, a start. I didn't expect the quiet to be so loud. After Josh left the motel that evening, I sat alone on the bed, the TV flickering with some late-night infomercial I wasn't really watching. It had been 2 days since I walked out of the house. 2 days since my whole life split in half. And yet, the world kept turning. That's what struck me the most. People still went to work. Still laughed in coffee shops. Still walked their dogs. The world didn't stop, even though mine had. I stared at my phone on the nightstand. Wondered if I should call Lisa. Wondered if she was home, sitting in our kitchen, making coffee like nothing had happened. Wondered if Jason was there. The thought made my stomach turn. I picked up the phone. Scrolled through my contacts. Stopped at her name. Hovered over it. And then I blocked her number. I set the phone down, leaned back against the headboard, and closed my eyes. Maybe this was what moving on looked like. But it didn't feel like moving on. It felt like free-falling. The next morning, I checked out of the motel. The front desk clerk gave me a tight, polite smile, like he knew exactly why I'd been staying there. I threw my bags in the back of the car and drove. Not home. Not yet. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I couldn't sit in that stale room another night. By noon, I ended up parked outside the office again. I sat in the lot for a long time, staring at the building where I'd spent the last 15 years. I couldn't bring myself to go inside. Instead, I opened my email on my phone. Hundreds of unread messages blinked at me. I skimmed through them until one stood out. It wasn't from work. It was from Jason. I felt my heart spike. Subject line, I owe you an explanation. I opened it, hands trembling. Tom, I know I'm the last person you want to hear from. And honestly, you probably hate me. I get that. But I need to say this. I didn't go into this trying to ruin a family. I didn't plan to fall for her. She told me things I didn't know about you. About how she felt invisible, how she felt unloved. I believed her. Maybe I shouldn't have. I don't know. But I'm not trying to replace you. I just wanted you to hear it from me, not secondhand. If you want to meet, I'm open to it. If not, I get it. Either way, I wish you peace. I stared at the message, rereading it. It felt strange. I'd spent days imagining Jason as this villain. This guy who swaggered in and stole my wife out from under me. But reading his words, he didn't sound like a villain. He sounded young. Naive. Maybe even scared. And that made me angrier than if he'd been smug. Because he didn't even realize what he'd destroyed. I closed the email and deleted it. No. I wasn't giving him a chance to explain. Some things don't need closure. That afternoon, Josh texted me. Mom wants to talk. Us three. Tonight. You in? I stared at the message. Part of me wanted to say no. To avoid it. To let Lisa explain everything without me there, because I wasn't sure I had the strength to sit in the same room with her and not explode. But another part of me knew we couldn't avoid this forever. Okay, I typed back. What time? We met at the house. I hadn't been back since I left. Pulling into the driveway felt surreal. Like I was parking outside someone else's life. Lisa opened the door. She looked tired. Older. Or maybe I'd just never noticed the lines on her face before. Josh was already inside, sitting on the couch, arms crossed, a wary look on his face. We sat down. Nobody spoke at first. Finally, Lisa broke the silence. I wanted to do this because we're still a family, she began carefully. Even if we're not together, Tom. We're still Josh's parents. We have to figure out how to be that. I nodded slowly. Okay. Josh looked between us. I don't want to have to pick sides. You won't have to, Lisa said quickly. I hesitated. We're not asking you to. But deep down, I knew it wouldn't be that simple. Lisa took a deep breath. I've decided to move out. I'll get an apartment near work. I'll leave the house to you and Josh. Josh's eyes widened. Wait, you're leaving. She looked at him sadly. I need a fresh start, honey. He swallowed hard. I thought you wanted to stay here. She shook her head. Not anymore. It doesn't feel right. Josh's face fell. Can I stay with you sometimes? He asked quietly. Of course, she said, reaching for his hand. He let her take it, but his face stayed stiff. I watched them, feeling a strange mix of relief and sadness. Relief that she wasn't going to fight me for the house. Sadness that it was ending like this. When Josh went upstairs to grab something, Lisa turned to me. Have you talked to Jason? She asked. I stiffened. No. He emailed you. I know. Did you read it? Yeah. She bit her lip. He's not a bad guy, Tom. I stared at her. Lisa, I said quietly, he's the guy you cheated on me with. She winced. I know. I don't care if he's a saint or a sinner, I continued. He's not part of this. You and me, we're the ones who broke this. Not him. She nodded slowly. She trailed off. I didn't expect it to get this messy. I gave a bitter smile. Affairs usually do. She looked away. Josh came back downstairs, backpack slung over his shoulder. I'm staying with Dad tonight, he announced. Lisa hesitated, then nodded. Okay. We walked out together. When we got in the car, Josh stared out the window for a while. Then he asked softly, do you still love her? I gripped the wheel tighter. I don't know, I admitted. Maybe part of me always will. He nodded. Me too, he whispered. I reached over and squeezed his shoulder. We'll figure this out, I promised. He didn't answer. But for the first time in days, I believed it. That first night with Josh back at the motel wasn't easy. He tossed and turned on the second bed, scrolling endlessly on his phone, earbuds in, music leaking just enough for me to hear the faint beat. I lay in the dark, staring at the stained ceiling, listening to the occasional passing car outside. I wanted to say something. But I didn't know what. Every time I opened my mouth, the words felt too small. Too late. Around midnight, he finally spoke. Dad. Yeah. Why didn't you leave earlier? I turned my head toward him. He was staring at the ceiling too, phone on his chest. What do you mean? I asked. He shifted a little. If you and Mom weren't happy, if you knew she wasn't happy, why'd you stay? I sighed. Because I thought we could fix it, I said honestly. I thought if I just worked harder, provided more, gave her everything she needed, she'd be happy again. Were you? He asked quietly. That one hit me harder than I expected. No, I admitted. Not for a long time. Josh rolled onto his side, propping his head up with his arm. Then why? Because of you, I said, meeting his gaze. Because I wanted you to have a family. A full family. Even if it wasn't perfect. He was quiet for a moment. Was it ever perfect? He asked. I smiled faintly. Yeah. When you were little. For a while, it was. He nodded slowly. I don't really remember it like that. That stung a little. But I understood. I sat up, swinging my legs over the edge of the bed. Listen, Josh. I don't expect you to understand everything right now. Or to pick sides. You don't owe me that. You don't owe her that. but I need you to know. I never stopped loving you. None of this is your fault. I know it's not my fault, he said quickly. Good, I said. Because sometimes, when parents fall apart, kids carry pieces they were never meant to hold. He looked down at his phone. I don't want to carry anything. I don't want you to either. He didn't answer. After a while, he put his phone down and turned off the light. Good night, Dad. Good night, son. And for the first time in days, I felt like maybe, just maybe, we were going to be okay. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of him brushing his teeth in the bathroom, music playing softly from his phone. Want pancakes? I asked when he came out. He hesitated. We're eating out. I smiled. No. I'll make them. There's a kitchenette. He raised an eyebrow. Since when do you cook? Since today, I said, pulling a box of pancake mix from the grocery bag I'd picked up last night. It's not rocket science. He watched skeptically as I fumbled with the instructions, measuring cups, and a stubborn spatula. Need help, he offered, smirking. Sit down, I grumbled. I've got this. 15 minutes later, we were eating slightly burnt pancakes on paper plates, sitting on the edge of the bed. Not bad, Josh said between bites. Liar, I replied, grinning. He laughed. Okay, maybe a little bad. But it's still better than Mom's. That surprised me. She didn't cook. He shrugged. Not really. We ordered in a lot. I looked down at my plate. A small, stupid part of me felt vindicated. After breakfast, we packed up and checked out. I drove him back to the house so he could grab some clothes and school stuff. When we pulled into the driveway, he hesitated before getting out. Are you coming in? He asked. I shook my head. Not today. He nodded, then paused. You're not, done with the house, are you? No, I said. Just, not ready yet. Okay. He disappeared inside. I watched him through the window, moving around the living room, talking briefly with Lisa, grabbing his backpack. When he came back out, he had a duffel bag slung over his shoulder. Where we going? He asked. Anywhere you want, I said. He grinned. Can we go to the batting cages? I laughed. Sure. Haven't swung a bat in years. Then you're gonna suck, he teased. Probably, I admitted. But it felt good. It felt normal. We spent the afternoon there, taking turns in the cages, laughing every time I whiffed the ball. I swear I used to be better at this, I muttered after another strikeout. Sure, Dad, Josh said, grinning. You're ancient. Watch it, kid. He stepped into the cage next, connecting solidly with pitch after pitch. You've got a good swing, I told him. Coach says I need to work on my follow-through, he said. You want to keep playing next year? He shrugged. Maybe. Depends. On what? He hesitated. If you're gonna come watch. That caught me off guard. I didn't know it mattered to you, I said quietly. It didn't used to, he said. But now. I don't know. It does. I nodded. I'll be there. Every game. He smiled. Good. We stood there for a while, watching the next group of kids step into the cages. Then he turned to me. Are you happy, Dad? He asked suddenly. I thought about it. I'm getting there, I said honestly. It's slow. But I'm trying. He nodded thoughtfully. Me too, he said. That night, we stayed at a friend's place, an old buddy of mine who'd offered his spare room for a while. Just until I figure things out, I told Josh. He didn't seem to mind. As we unpacked his things, he looked around the small room. It's not bad, he said. Kinda cozy. Yeah, I agreed. Not home, but it'll do. He sat on the bed, pulling out his phone. Mom texted, he said. I waited. She wants to know if I'm coming back tomorrow. What do you want? I asked carefully. He looked at me. Can I stay here a few more days? I smiled. Of course. He nodded, looking relieved. Thanks, Dad. For what? For trying. I sat down beside him. I'm not perfect, Josh, I said. I've made mistakes. I probably will again. But I'm never gonna stop showing up. He leaned his head against my shoulder. I know, he murmured. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was finally becoming the father he deserved. It was a Thursday afternoon when the envelope arrived. I'd just dropped Josh off at baseball practice and swung by the old house to check the mailbox. I wasn't ready to go inside yet. Every time I saw the front door, I felt like a stranger. But I figured, if nothing else, I should make sure no bills were piling up. The envelope was thick. Stiff. Formal. Return address, law offices of Chambers and Wright. My heart sank. I didn't even open it there. I couldn't. I sat in the car for a long time, the envelope resting on the passenger seat like a ticking bomb. Finally, I took it back to my friend's place. Sat at the kitchen table under the dull yellow light. And opened it. The first line hit me like a punch to the gut. Notice of petition for divorce, property division, and child support. I skimmed down. Legal language. Numbers. Terms I half understood. She wanted half the house. Half my retirement. And child support. Child support. I pushed the papers away, rubbing my temples. Child support. As if I hadn't been supporting Josh every day of his life. As if I hadn't been there when he broke his arm falling off his bike. Or when he had nightmares at 4 years old and crawled into our bed. I stood up abruptly, pacing the kitchen. It wasn't about the money. It was what it meant. It meant she'd stopped seeing me as a partner. Stopped seeing me as Josh's father. Now I was just an obligation. A line item. A check. I sat back down, staring at the papers. And for the first time since this all started, I felt anger bloom in my chest like fire. When Josh came back that evening, he was sweaty and smiling, tossing his glove onto the chair. Coach said I might move up to varsity next year, he said excitedly. That's great, buddy, I said quietly. He paused. Everything okay? I hesitated. Josh, we need to talk. He frowned, sitting down across from me. I slid the papers across the table. Your mom sent these. He picked them up, brows furrowing as he skimmed them. I don't get it, he said. She's suing you. It's not suing, I corrected gently. It's formalizing things. He looked up at me, confused. But, she said you guys were gonna figure it out together. So did I said bitterly. But I guess she changed her mind. He pushed the papers back toward me. Can't you not sign them? I smiled faintly. It's not that simple, Josh. He leaned back, crossing his arms. I hate this. I know. I hate lawyers. I hate that she's doing this. Josh. No, he said sharply. She's always saying she wants what's best for me, but how's this best? Making you pay her? Taking the house? I rubbed the back of my neck. It's complicated, son. He shook his head. No, it's not. She's being selfish. I sighed. I didn't want to turn him against her. I really didn't. She's scared too, I said quietly. She's trying to make sure you're taken care of. I am taken care of, he snapped. By you. Those words meant more than he knew. But they also scared me. Because as much as I wanted to believe I could hold everything together, those papers said otherwise. That night, Lisa called. I didn't want to answer. But I did. Tom, she began, I assume you got the papers. I did. Silence. I told you I wasn't going to fight you on the house, I said. I told you I wasn't going to make this ugly. I know, she said quietly. This isn't about making it ugly. Then what is it about? She hesitated. My lawyer said it's standard, she said. It protects both of us. Protects you, I corrected. Tom, I closed my eyes, gripping the phone tighter. Do you really think I'd stop supporting Josh? Do you think I'd just walk away? No, she said softly. But I can't take that risk. That cut deeper than I expected. You don't trust me, I whispered. She didn't answer. And that silence told me everything. The next few days felt like I was living under a low, gray cloud. Every time I saw Josh, I forced a smile. Tried to keep things normal. But inside, I felt like I was unraveling. The bills. The lawyers. Constant undercurrent of knowing that no matter how hard I fought, I was already losing pieces of my life I'd spent 20 years building. And Josh could see it. One night, as we sat in the bleachers after practice, watching the last few innings of a pickup game, he turned to me. Are you gonna have to move? He asked quietly. I looked at him, startled. What makes you ask that? He shrugged. I heard Mom on the phone with her friend. She said she didn't think you could afford the house. I swallowed hard. Maybe, I admitted. I don't know yet. He looked away. I don't want to move again, he said. I don't want to go live with her either. I put a hand on his shoulder. Hey. We're not there yet, okay. But we might be, he said stubbornly. Yeah, I said quietly. We might be. He was silent for a long time. Then he said something that broke my heart. Why can't she just leave us alone? I pulled him close, wrapping my arm around his shoulders. She's not trying to hurt you, Josh. She's hurting you, he said. I didn't have an answer. So I just held him tighter. Later that night, after he'd fallen asleep in the spare room, I sat at the kitchen table again, the papers spread out before me. I'd called a lawyer earlier that day. He'd walked me through what to expect. The timelines. The options. It all sounded clinical. Cold. But sitting there, staring at those words in black and white, it didn't feel clinical at all. It felt like losing. Like failure. I poured myself a glass of water and leaned back in the chair. Tomorrow, I'd call my lawyer again. Tomorrow, I'd start the paperwork. But tonight, I let the grief in. And for the first time in weeks, I cried. The knock came just after lunch. I wasn't expecting anyone. Josh was at school, and I was home alone, halfway through sorting bills at the kitchen table. When I opened the door, a man in a blue windbreaker stood there, holding a clipboard. Mr. Thomas Miller, he asked. Yeah. He handed me an envelope. You've been served. I stared at him as he walked away, my hand frozen midair, envelope heavy in my fingers. Another envelope. Another wait. I shut the door slowly. Sat back down. And opened it. This wasn't like the last one. It wasn't just about money. It was about custody. Lisa was filing for sole custody. I read the words over and over, not believing them. Petitioner seeks sole physical and legal custody of the minor child, Joshua Miller, citing stability and continuity of environment as primary factors. I let the paper fall from my hands. Sole custody. She wasn't just taking the house. The money. The years. She was trying to take him. When Josh came home that afternoon, his face was tight, guarded. I knew something was wrong the moment he dropped his backpack by the door without a word. Josh. I called. He didn't answer. I found him in the spare room, sitting on the bed, scrolling on his phone. Hey, I said gently. Everything okay? He didn't look up. Mom called, he said flatly. I froze. What did she say? He shrugged. Asked if I wanted to come stay with her this weekend. I sat down across from him. And what did you say? I told her no. I exhaled slowly. Okay. He finally looked up, his eyes dark. Then she said, she's going to fix it so I don't have to bounce around anymore, he said bitterly. She said it won't be my choice soon. My stomach twisted. Josh. She told me she's filing for custody, Dad, he said, voice rising. She said she's going to make sure I stay with her. Is that true? I hesitated. Yes. The betrayal in his face was instant. You knew, he demanded. I just found out today, I said quickly. I swear. He stood up, pacing. Why is she doing this? I don't want to live with her. Why can't she just leave us alone? I don't know, I said helplessly. I don't know, Josh. But we're going to fight this. He stopped, turning to me. Are we? He asked. Or are you just gonna give up like you gave up on the house? That one cut deep. Josh. Do you even want me to stay with you? He snapped. Or is this just about beating her? I stood up too, heart pounding. Of course I want you here, I said firmly. This isn't a game, Josh. This isn't about winning or losing. Feels like it, he muttered. He grabbed his phone again, shoving it into his pocket. Where are you going? I asked. Out, he said shortly. I need air. Josh. But he was already gone, slamming the door behind him. I stood there, staring at the door, my chest tight. And for the first time, I wondered if I was losing him anyway. He didn't come back until after dark. When he finally walked in, his face was pale, tired. Where were you? I asked quietly. Just walking, he said. Around. You scared me, I admitted. I needed space. I nodded. He sat down at the table, rubbing his hands over his face. I don't want to live with her, he said again, softer this time. She doesn't get me. She never listens. I know, I said gently. I'm going to fight this, Josh. I promise you. He looked at me, eyes shining. Are you sure you can? He asked. That question broke me a little. I'll do everything I can, I said. I'm not giving up. He nodded slowly. Okay, he said. Okay. But I could see the doubt still there. The fear. And truthfully, I felt it too. That night, after he went to bed, I called my lawyer. I got served today, I said flatly. Custody papers. There was a pause on the line. I figured that was coming, he said. She's playing hardball now. What are my chances? I asked. Another pause. It depends, he said carefully. Depends on the judge. The arguments. Her claims. She's saying it's more stable with her, I said bitterly. Because it's the same house. The same neighborhood. But she's the one who blew it up. I know, he said. But courts like stability for kids. Judges don't always see the emotional side the way we do. I closed my eyes. Can you fight it? I asked. Yes, he said. But it'll get messy. Expensive. And there's no guarantee. I swallowed hard. What if I lose? He was quiet. Then you'll get visitation, he said gently. But not custody. My throat tightened. I can't lose him, I whispered. He's all I have left. I know, Tom, he said softly. I know. I barely slept that night. Every creak of the floorboards felt like the weight of time running out. Every glance at the closed bedroom door reminded me of how fragile this all was. And every time I closed my eyes, I saw him, not as the teenager he was now, but as the little boy who used to climb into my lap with a picture book, who used to fall asleep on my chest watching cartoons. How did we get here? How did it all fall apart so fast? I stared at the ceiling until dawn. Tomorrow, the fight would begin. But tonight, I just prayed. Prayed I wouldn't lose him. The morning of the hearing, the sky was gray. I stood in front of the bathroom mirror, knotting my tie with shaking hands. I hadn't worn it in over a year, since a funeral, I think. And in a way, this felt like another one. A funeral for the life I thought we'd have. Josh came into the doorway, his hair still damp from the shower. He looked older today, somehow. His jaw set. His eyes steady. You ready? He asked quietly. I forced a smile. Trying to be. He nodded. Neither of us spoke as we got into the car. The courthouse wasn't far. But every block felt like a mile. Every red light felt like the universe was stalling, giving me one last chance to turn around. But I didn't. I couldn't. We sat in the waiting area, my lawyer beside me, papers in a neat folder on his lap. Across the room, Lisa sat with her attorney. She didn't look at me. Josh sat between us, earbuds in, staring at the floor. I wondered what he was thinking. Whether he hated me. Hated her. Hated both of us. My stomach churned. Tom, my lawyer said softly, nudging me. She hasn't filed the pretrial brief. I frowned. What does that mean? He glanced at her side. It means she may not be going forward with full custody. I blinked. Why wouldn't she? He shook his head. I don't know. At that moment, Lisa's lawyer stood and approached us. Mr. Miller, she said politely. Lisa would like to speak with you. Privately. I hesitated. Then stood. She led me to a small side room. Lisa was already inside, standing by the window. When she turned, her face was pale, tired. Tom, she said quietly. What's this about? I asked cautiously. She took a deep breath. I'm withdrawing the custody petition. I stared. What? I'm withdrawing it, she repeated. I told my lawyer this morning. I felt like the floor shifted beneath me. Why? I asked, suspicious, defensive. What changed? She looked away, lips pressed tight. Josh came to see me last night, she said finally. He showed up at my apartment around 9. Wouldn't tell me how he got there. My heart thudded. What did he say? She swallowed. He said, if I took him away from you, he'd run. That he'd leave both of us. That he'd never forgive me. My throat closed. She looked back at me, eyes shining. I didn't think he'd feel that strongly, she admitted. I thought. I was protecting him. Giving him stability. But I wasn't listening. I was quiet for a long time. Lisa, I began. I'm still mad at you, she interrupted. Still hurt. But I'm not taking him away from you. Her voice broke. I won't be the reason he loses both parents. For the first time in a long time. I saw the woman I'd married again. Not the angry, bitter stranger from the past year. But the woman who once held our baby in her arms and swore we'd figure it out together. Thank you, I said quietly. She nodded, wiping her eyes. I'll tell the judge myself, she said. You don't have to fight today. And with that, she left the room. Leaving me standing there, stunned. When I walked back to the waiting area, Josh looked up. She told you, he asked. I sat down beside him. She told me. He exhaled deeply, shoulders relaxing for the first time in weeks. I meant it, Dad, he said. I wasn't gonna let her take me. I put a hand on the back of his neck, pulling him close. I know, son, I said hoarsely. I know. And for the first time in months, I let myself believe we were going to be okay. Not perfect. Not whole. But okay. The judge dismissed the case without prejudice. No custody battle. No ruling. Josh would stay with me during the week and visit Lisa on weekends, by mutual agreement. No court order. Just trust. It wasn't the way I'd imagined our family would work. But it was what we had left. And somehow, it was enough. Weeks passed. The house still felt emptier than before. But it wasn't broken. Every night, Josh came home. Threw his backpack down. Raided the fridge. Complained about homework. And every night, I thanked whatever force had brought him back to me. One evening, he sat across from me at the kitchen table, absently flipping a baseball in his hand. You think you'll ever date again? He asked suddenly. I looked up, startled. Maybe, I admitted. Someday. He smirked. Gonna find someone who cooks better than Mom. I chuckled. That's not a high bar. He laughed, a real laugh this time. And for a moment, the heaviness lifted. Later that night, after he went to bed, I stood in the doorway of his room, watching him sleep. In the soft glow of the bedside lamp, he looked peaceful. Older. Stronger. I knew we still had hard days ahead. Court dates. College decisions. Life. But as I watched him breathe, I realized something. I hadn't lost everything. I'd lost the marriage. The house. The plans. But not him. Never him. And as long as I had that, I had enough.